Alright, so here's my code review for adding assets and the changes that I've gone through. File has gotten pretty big, so after showing it off to the client, I might need to go in and break it up and make it more modular so it's easier to read and stuff. Hate talking on video. Okay, so basically you have just like variables that we set up. Base data is going to be like the data from this first form. Basically it's been broken up into two phases now. With this first form, you put in just like generic information, and then it should go to a second form where you can put in certain numbers of items. So we'll select 5 for now. There's just some helper functions here. I've added the ability to load progress. You'll see that in the next phase. Basically, like if they're halfway through putting 20 items in, they can save their progress so it's not wasted if they accidentally close out. That'll be saved locally. It should persist even if like the machine resets until it's written over, but I haven't really tested that yet. It works if you click around the website and stuff. This is just showing off resets forms when modals close. Okay, so then this would be basically we're taking in all these required fields from here. We're going to loop through them. If any are missing, it should show an error. Maybe I should have some inline text here that shows up, but we'll get to that. Different time. This is just setting dates and stuff, basic validation, making sure that the item count is good enough, and then yeah, here's our base data. So this is everything that's coming from this form. We're either going to get it straight from the form, or we're just going to set it like the status. All of them should be set to available, and then I don't know, we're just adding a comment because I've made it required in the back end. And that'll be these are all like required, and if these aren't set when you go to submit it, you'll get a message from the server when it hits the back end. Where was I? Alright, cool. And then once you're basically done with that, you're going to close this modal, and then it'll show the second modal. That second modal has been set to static, so that when the client like clicks off the side, like this first one, if you click off the side, it'll just delete, but it's not a big deal because it's just like, basic data. But in the next phase, if they click off it, it won't be lost. Okay, so we'll just go to that then. For showing the client, I've put in these random, so you won't need to just type in while we're showing it off. And then these buttons should really be like that. I think it's just smushing together because it's... Okay, so then you'll do this, you'll hit next. I hate this. Yeah, so yeah, if they click off of it, they would have to explicitly click on the X. So random, just keep adding these. We have a save progress. We could make a modal to make this look prettier, but for now, hopefully show off that. Then we would like load, and it should have our save state still up. Go home, all this good stuff. Cool. Then we're adding the fourth and the fifth, and these will have edits. We'll just send these through to see it work. But let's say we wanted to have an edit. We'll go ahead and just add one now and see what happens when we get a duplicate. tag number was this. Okay, next. So then if we try to send it, but we get a duplicate, it should say duplicate asset tag, and then they can just edit inline right here, and then save. And then yeah, that should go through. What else? I think the client's definitely gonna want there to, like they said, have a human icon, like a person icon, to be able to assign these right off the bat. So we might need to worry about that. Here's what the payload looks like when it's sent. Premium 201 created. Here's the response back. Here's what the responses look like when it's an error, and then it should show up inline in each of the, like that was our 0th, so it showed up in that indexed. I've ported all of the functionality over to the software, but it was pretty sloppy, and I'm kind of at the end of the rope here. Yeah, just, basic. Anything that's not included in that first form, we're going to add in the second form, so it'll be the base data plus serial number and asset tag. This is just to make sure these don't get skipped. It's just a little redundancy there. And then here's our function to submit all the items to the server. This is like, if they don't click next and enter the last item, it should just put it in there and send it. The new function to call is load assets page, so it should load 50 items. I haven't tested that high yet, but we'll see with the pagination stuff later. Just function to show server errors inline. I think this might honestly be a deprecated function here. And then this just shows the preview list every time. Here's that blue pencil icon. Opens up the smaller modal, and then yeah, this is just generating those random numbers, and we can take all these out at the end. And then let's go look at the controller. So the hardware controller, everything is through add bulk. Even if it's add 1 now, it should be going through add bulk. It'll take in a list of DTOs, so it can just take in a list of 1. And then you have validation. If there's not any in the list, then it'll return a bad state. The errors, it's just gonna create a dictionary to send. That's what this payload is. And then yeah, this is just making sure that all of these are in. Yep. And then once everything is validated and made sure, blah blah blah, we send everything to the database, and then we're gonna bump the cache. I don't know, I think this might have been from an earlier, I think I returned something else, but yeah. So that's the end of my code review. I'm gonna push this branch so we can show it to the clients. It's just like a little bit more fleshed out than the current one that we had for Tuesday. We can just use it if we want for the client meeting. If not, then no harm, no foul. Alright. I'm not gonna submit a PR, I'll just publish the branch.